So welcome back, guys, to We Talk Boxing, and this is fight week for both of these guys between Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. Now the pair are set to enter the ring this Friday night. Here in the UK, fight should be going on roughly around 11 o'clock, according to a few different publications. But the event show itself starts 4 p.m. here in the UK. So again, nice and early, which means that potentially it's going to be a long evening and night for most boxing fans here in the UK. But it's all good. It's better than getting up early hours to try and watch some of these big fights. But yeah, it's fight week, and we now see a good potential dust up between two big, heavy-fisted men. And there's very little to split these guys in terms of physicality. According to BoxRec, AJ is 6'6" compared to Francis Ngannou, who is 6'4". So again, there's only a couple of inches height difference, but when you're looking at both of these guys during, the press conferences that they've done so far, there's very little to split them. Honestly, I'd probably say they're probably the same height, maybe just edge at AJ, but there's not a lot to judge them. Ngannou, he's thick, he's very wide, and his head and his neck and his muscles, he's just so big. And it's quite weird because apart from Ngannou, do you know what I mean? AJ is, again, the complete athlete in terms of boxing wise. He's big, he's athletic, he's muscular, he's got fairly good endurance as well for someone that size. But to see him stand up against Ngannou at times, depending on the camera where you're looking at it, the camera angle, he sometimes looks a little bit smaller, in body size compared to Ngannou. So I could see this being a tough fight for AJ in a weird sense. In terms of boxing ability, I favour AJ all night long. He's got the better skills. He's got the better boxing skills. He's got a very good jab. Got a good boxing mind, when he wants to use it. The only issue that I have at times with AJ is that he sometimes tries to overcommit and tries to mix it when he doesn't really need to mix it. And then when he does need to mix it, he doesn't. And there was a good example of this in both of the Alexander Usyk fights where he shouldn't have, again, gone in there and tried to box with Usyk. He's clearly not the better boxer between both of the guys, but he tried to trade at times and stand and, try to outbox the boxer, which is the wrong game plan. Whereas when you're then thinking, you know what, you've caught him here, you've caught Usyk, go on, pull it on him, and ask him some questions, and he just didn't do it. It's a case where he caught him, but then he stood back, which is quite weird because, as I said, he sometimes does the wrong things at the wrong times, and when you want him to do the right things at the right times, is out of distance. But anyhow, I still consider him the better boxer of the two. He's obviously got more experience in the boxing ring. Ngannou's obviously got that MMA background behind him. And he's obviously took punches and kicks, with smaller ounce gloves and no foot guards or anything like that. So he's took some big shots to his head. And he's obviously got that grappling ability. So I feel as if that grappling ability could come into play here. Now, with Ngannou, when he fought Tyson Fury, what Tyson Fury does well against most of his opponents, and he didn't do well against Ngannou, is that he roughs them up and he puts his body weight on them, which zaps their energy. But when he fought Ngannou, he couldn't do that against Ngannou because Ngannou is a very physical, tough, strong man. And when, Tyson was leaning on him, Ngannou wasn't going anywhere. And it was the opposite. Tyson felt that stiff, tough, muscular physicality from Ngannou, and it kind of put him off because Tyson wasn't really holding and leaning as much in this fight, which was quite surprising. And in the earlier rounds, it kind of made Tyson Fury had to kind of change his game plan. He had to resort to turning orthodox. which Ngannou did the same as well, and he wasn't getting caught as much with that backhand compared to in southpaw. This was what I was talking about. Because when Tyson was in orthodox, he was catching Ngannou a lot with that right hand, but when he turned to southpaw, he wasn't catching him as much with the backhand. So I feel as if AJ tries to mix it early with Ngannou, especially while Ngannou's fresh, it could be quite dangerous. I would like AJ to go out there and to feel out the first 2-3 rounds, just use his boxing ability, use that jab because his jab's much better, much quicker these days, and his head movement and footwork as well. So use his boxing skills. Within the first 2 to 3 rounds, try and make Ngannou get on his toes and be moving around the ring. And then maybe once Ngannou's let's say he's working at a higher pace and that he's kind of not used to, then try and ask him a couple of questions. I'll tell you a good shot which AJ needs to utilise a lot in this fight, and that is going to the body. He needs to jab to the body, but mix it up. And I feel as if he keeps jabbing to the body every now and again, but every now and again just kind of throw that upwards, upwards right hand. So jab to the body, come up with the right hand. That will probably put Ngannou off a little bit because I'm not sure if he's going to kind of be expecting it. Tyson tried it in the first fight, didn't really work out for him. As I said, Tyson's best shots in the first fight was the 1-2 and the lead right in orthodox stance. Ngannou did it a couple of times, and he was dropping the jab to the body of Tyson, which he did well. And it kind of unsettled Tyson at times, but didn't really do too much damage. And it was only the single shots that Ngannou was throwing, so he couldn't really capitalise. But when he did let his hands go, he looked dangerous. Because Ngannou wants to fight at close range, because he wants to use his physicality, his strength to kind of put his opponent off. The only difference, and I'm not kind of sure how that's going to play out in this fight, is that AJ is built as well. He's got a lot of muscle behind him, and he's got some good strength and power as well. So how is Ngannou going to handle, another fighter doing the similar sort of tactics that he wants to kind of employ? So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, Ngannou wants to fight at close range, and every now and again, as the opponent's coming out, which would be AJ in this, for instance, he would then try and lead off with like a hook, or try and let his hands go with 2 or 3 shots to try and catch his opponent, and that's going to be Ngannou's best chance of maybe unsettling or hurting AJ. Whereas I feel that AJ needs to use his boxing skills, try and use a lateral movement, but keep it simple. Jab, jab, jab to the body, 1-2s to the head. If Ngannou is coming in close, just try and tie him up and let the referee split you. Once Ngannou's getting tired, and he's looking a little bit vulnerable, then maybe, ask him a couple of questions, but don't go guns, all gun-ho sort of thing. Keep your guard up, keep your chin down, and don't do anything silly. That's my advice to probably AJ. Doesn't need my advice, but that's something I would pretty much tell him if I was working in the corner. I am looking forward to this fight. It's a shame that we didn't see Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk in February, because I feel as if this would have been, a great follow-up to that, and maybe a great end to the Saudi season sort of thing. But we are going to hopefully, touch wood, get to see that fight in May, and then maybe the winner of this maybe go off and fight one of those two. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I feel as if AJ should win. I feel as if he will win, but it's heavyweight boxing, and anything could happen in heavyweight boxing. One shot could change the fight, and we all know what happened when AJ fought Andy Ruiz. He got gun-ho. He literally went in. He hurt Andy Ruiz, but then got a little bit sloppy and got caught, and his legs went. So I just hope that he doesn't get caught in this fight and his legs will go. Because if he does lose this fight against someone like Ngannou, then it could be the end of AJ. There will only be a couple of fights left out there for him. One being the Dillian White fight. and one being a Tyson Fury fight, and that would only be if Tyson Fury feels like, you know what, I'm going to take on this loser now. You know what I mean? I'm going to prove to everyone that I can smash him up for once and for all, because he will probably see AJ as vulnerable. But even though if AJ did lose against Ngannou, I still feel like that fight with AJ and Tyson would be a tougher fight for Tyson Fury due to the physicality presence that AJ does bring. I'm not saying that AJ could go in there and outbox him or, you know what I mean, probably hurt him. I don't know, because obviously Tyson's been in there with Fury and Ngannou. Yes, he's been put down twice, but he's got back up and won the fights on all occasions. So I just feel as if it would be a tough fight. But anyway, guys, that's me waffling a little bit. Let me know your thoughts in regards to this fight coming up this Friday between Francis Ngannou and AJ. As always, guys, bless.